Welcome back to the CTO Playbook, the podcast dedicated to helping CTOs excel. What if the real secret to high-performing engineering teams isn't talent, but the rules of the game they're playing? In this episode, I'm speaking with Gerald Chablowski, a lead engineer whose journey from archaeology to tech leadership gives him a uniquely human perspective on clarity, systems, and how teams truly work. Together, we explore why structure can unlock creativity, how trust reshapes collaboration, and why learning in public might be a leader's most underrated skill. If you've ever wondered why your team thrives, or why it sometimes doesn't, this conversation will shift how you think about engineering culture. I'm your host, Adam Horner, coach to CTOs from startups to enterprises, helping you lead with clarity, confidence, and strategic impact. If you feel like you're figuring it out the hard way, you're not alone. That's why I created the CTO Playbook, a place for tech leaders to grow together. Explore coaching, cohorts, and how you can stay up to date at thectoplaybook.com, helping you build your own playbook for your path at your pace. Gerald, welcome to the CTO Playbook. It's brilliant to have you here.
Thank you to get me on good night, good evening, good afternoon. I don't know what time you are. For me, it's the evening in Thailand, so good evening.
Yeah, early afternoon here in Sweden. And it would be really good actually just to get to, for the audience to get to know you a little bit better. If you could just sort of introduce yourself and what it is you actually do these days.
I live in Thailand, where I'm a lead developer in a company that is called RabbitCare. But before, I live in Singapore, in Dubai, in San Francisco, in Montreal, where I lead different startups. But I decided lastly to come back to corporate because the aim is trying to have bigger team. And sadly, you need the corporate seal for that. Apart that, I'm in tech since I'm 8. I had done everything but tech as study. I have 3 masters, one in archaeology, one in history, and one in business law. But decided to come back to my hobby when I was kid, which is a computer. So first computer 8, first computer construct 11, first program 15. So yeah, computer were always there. The problem now is having a hobby because I do my job as a hobby. Like I like to say with people, I'm paid to make Lego. So yeah, I begin with Lego when I was 6. I go on computer. And code is like Lego. You know, you take piece, you make it together. Team is the same thing, and I'm paid to play. So yeah, it's a good life. And see the world. I think it's a good life. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And traveling quite a lot by the sounds as well. And I don't know how on earth Yorgos convinced us to have that first conversation, but I've been looking forward to this ever since then.
Thank you. Looking forward too.
Cool. So you mentioned there that you had 3 degrees that were none of them in computing, but that was your love and your hobby. And so, since you sort of led engineering groups across startups and international companies, you know, when you look back, what were those moments that sort of shaped your approach, your philosophy to leading engineering teams?
Well, yeah, okay. I will say that first, but I think you see it in my studies that I'm very interested by human group, history, archaeology, law, all of that are linked to society, to how we organize ourselves, etc., etc. And it's why too that I get in tech, because I was feeling that all of that was not very creative. Tech is creative, but in the same time, tech nowadays, and we see it with AI now, is a pressure on the society, and it's what society makes us. It's what makes the society change. Because yeah, it's pressure. It's capitalism from Marx, but perhaps I go a bit too far there. But yeah, so I was wanting to be part of the movement, to be part of these people that change the world. And I like technology, I like puzzle, because for me, at the end is a puzzle, Lego, and was that. But we do all of that for people. We do that with people, and we organize people, and we create tool or product for people. So yeah, is that I think that we forgot sometimes when we make technology and when we are tech, is that technology in itself, yeah, it's not art. It's not there to be in museum. It's something that we need to be useful, and that can change life. And so, yeah, it's why I came to that. It's what I have as philosophy to, I would say, lead my team and make my tech. Tech is not so much interesting. People that use it is the interesting part, or do it is the interesting part for me.
Yeah. And was there a moment in your sort of early career where you sort of realized, oh man, we need some structure, or these people are going to sort of struggle and drown, or not work well together?
Okay, yes. First, I need to say that I came from leadership from archaeology. When I was 15, 16, I was part of a summer camp where we were doing a restoration of an old castle in a city that is called Giz. And when you are 16, 17, 18, that you need to lead a teenager to do wall very high, or construction work, you need structure. You need to learn structure, and you need to be very, very structured. If not, you will have an accident somewhere. So I learned a lot from there. I learned too what you should not do. So yeah, for that it was very, very formative. Archaeology and how we organize work on that was very formative. From there, when you see that and you go that, yeah, at the end, every work is just a game. For me, is that Aléa test. You chose this and you see. So, what is a game first? You need to have a rule in a game. So, is that if you don't make your rule very very clear, no one can win the game or the work. And what's the aim of the work game? If I can say, it's produce something, code, for example. So yeah, my first thing that I learned, I think, is you need to have a rule. This rule should be well explained, because it's a problem with, and I will come back to my master of law. Everybody should know the law. Yeah, but knowing the law don't mean that you understand what the law means and why the law is. And I'm someone that I will say I'm stubborn, and if you don't explain me why I do something, I will badly do it. So
yeah, and there's always that thing where the law says one thing, but the way that people actually behave and the way people really go about things doesn't always line up perfectly.
Is that? But they always. I had a teacher in law that was saying that you cannot go against the law, but you can bend the law. So it's matrix. If you can do it, or you could do it. But yeah, it don't mean that you should not have law, and you should not have, and you should destroy them. It just means that we need to have a base that we agree on. We can, with this base, create a vocabulary. And we know about what we speak on what we want together, because the aim is society law is to have a society that work together well. A company, a team is something that we want to have a work, and we work together in a good way. So the aim is always quality. It's why we have this rule and this law. After, don't mean that this rule cannot evolve, and they are there for that. And, feedback is important. And it's important too, and I think it's something that, being human is two-way street. Is being human with others, but is being yourself human. And, learning in public, saying, I don't know, saying, I'm wrong, or I make a mistake is making part of that. Because, asking people to trust you don't work, when everything go wrong. Trust go little by little. Is the tiny things that you do for these people all day, and is how they will trust you. So yeah, you need to be human. You need to think of human, because thinking with human without being yourself human don't work. AI will never be a human, because it's maybe make us look like, but he's not human, don't have feelings. So is that. So yeah, I think it's why it's important.
Yeah, and I think it's not only the rules, isn't it? It's also the clarity of knowing what those rules are, whether they're rules of engagement or the way that we should work together. I mean, it reminds me a little bit about one of the big UK government contracts I worked on where 10% was clear, good rules, good sort of rubrics about how we should behave, but then 90% of it was completely unclear. And it caused hundreds of one-to-one conversations with people going around and essentially having the same conversations over and over again, just because it wasn't clear. Like there were rules there, but nobody knew what they were. They weren't sort of broadcast in a way that made it obvious. I mean, so why do you think it is that sort of lack of clarity gets normalized so easily, especially in engineering?
I think first we are not told to that. There's something very single about engineering, in meaning you are in front of your code, in front of your computer, but you have to work with other people too. But you don't really work with them, you work with their product. They produce something, right. You give something, and you take something for it. So, yeah, you will say, in general, tech people are not very human. They don't like human, Computers are a lot easier to speak with. Exaggerated. There are a lot of people that are human, and there are a lot of people that are fantastic. But is that so? Is that we all have our own opinion of the code should be, of the team should be, and I will say it's like a football team, but a football team with each have his own ball. So yes, yeah, okay, it's good. You can play your own ball, but at the moment you need to pass this ball to someone else. You add something to this ball, and you think and if this someone is not capable to understand what you are doing or what you aim in what you are doing, it don't work. So it's where I return to that vocabulary, language, rule, because language are made about rule too, and it's why it's a communication, and it's not about the other, it's too about yourself, because as I like to say is. I'm very happy of my code. I'm very unhappy of the code that I write 6 months ago, and my future self too. So, who will never go on the code and say, what I write that 6 months ago? What's the fuck I was wanting to write that? I don't understand at all. So we need to be clear, and it's why too, I feel that, we need to write. It's something that developers don't do so much. We write a lot of code, but we don't write other things, documentation on things like that. And I think it's very important because I remember, it's old. I was working on the first Symfony framework. So it's very, very old. And I like this framework because the documentation was a long tutorial about making a website. And it was everything that I need to know about it. It was very practical, very transparent. I was wanting to make a connection to the database. I have a chapter to that. And I was looking at it. And it was because it's that too. That's too a problem on documentation, on all we have nowadays in tech. Is I see that with my tech is very in interview, and I don't need to. I had my first interview, and someone asked me. I was PHP developer in my life, 12 years, and someone asked me, "Okay, what is an interface?" I don't know what is an interface. I miss it. Second time, I learned it by heart. I was knowing what it was an interface. It's always the same question, more but do you know really how to use it? Seriously, it takes me 10 years to understand, to make it real, to understand how it works. So it's why when I speak about rule, I speak about something practical and not, you need to do that. Yeah, it's logical. As I say, if I say that you need to be 8 hours on your seat to write code on good quality, okay, but the question is, what is good quality? And now you need to define what is quality, what is work together, process, write this process, and why we have this process, and what does it mean? It's step one by one. It's a lot to write, but You do it once and you don't speak of it anymore. And you just reuse it and you make it evolve. It's strange because, we consider in code, we speak a lot about algorithm, but in general, we don't speak a lot about structure of code, apart when we speak about frameworks. But let's say you take something like React. React is something without structure. And Facebook say to us, no structure, do whatever you want. In general, developers are very, very bad to do that. And the first thing, yes, is to have this structure. And when you have this structure of the code, you have the process that are linked to it. And that you can use Scrum, Kanban, whatever you want, more by experience too. Everyone make his own Scrum, everyone make his own Kanban. So do whatever you want, you will be good. Whatever work. But you need to agree of whatever work. A lot of people together, in general, don't know what they want. So come with a plan. And is that you come with this rule, because we speak on a rule, you give them to people, you don't impose. You explain why, they agree, they disagree, you make them evolve, and you create a team like that.
And then document it as you go along.
Yes, on the documentation that go along. And it's become beautiful, you have a beautiful code, and when you came Series A, and that's an investor come on you and say, okay, now we want a security audit of all your code, and the security audit arrived. Okay, do you have the documentation? And you are, yes, here we go. So and it's magic.
And it keeps certain things simpler, doesn't it? When you have plenty of documentation, you've got good processes, ways of working, and they're actually used. So just take us back a little bit, Gerald. So when, obviously you've come to the point where you've got a bunch of these approaches for the way you do things, but take us back into that early Gerald state where you sort of made maybe a mistake relating to that clarity or that structure, something that you can laugh about now, but probably didn't laugh at the time.
I will tell you my biggest mistake in leadership when I began my career. When I was in France, one day I had a job of project manager. 20 people, 10 in Paris, 10 in Morocco. Everyone speaks French. So, okay, they speak French. They're like French people. You begin to work with them, try to put in place Scrum, try to make some frameworks in PHP. I was thinking everything was working. I was a bit harsh, let's say it. 2 months later, I have the main developer in Morocco that say don't want to work with me. Because I am too harsh, I'm too difficult to work, I never say thank you. Okay. So what?
Wow, so quite brutal feedback then.
Yeah. Only he want to quit because of you. And you are okay. So you have to take your back to think, okay, where I am wrong, because it worked, but it's returned to that. I have to become human too. To say, okay, I do that, I don't know, or thank you for what you do, because I was, I don't know, they were thinking that I was a dictator. That was honestly in leadership a big thing. One of those stuff.
And that was one of those moments that stands out in your memory. Clearly, it's given you plenty of lessons by the sounds of it.
Yeah. It was very harsh, but I understand a lot of stuff that. You don't need to leading is leading with people. And the important is the with, is not leading. You are here to give a direction. You're not here to push them. So I think it's Winston Churchill that was saying that leadership is making people what they want to do. Making people do what they want to do. And it's that. So I learned to, and that was before, during archaeology, one day I was deciding to, that I was needing to know if people were happy. So, in fact, I was not wanting to work. The lazy manager. The guy that go between station and say, oh, you are good, you want water, you want thing, and I had someone that was director in the summer camp that come to me and say, Gerald, that people begin to complain that you do nothing. And that's true. You need to learn to do, because giving order, it's easy. But if you have no idea of what these people do, you need to have done it before. Or if you don't know, trust people. You need to have good people and trust them. If you don't know something, you don't know something. And you are specialized generally. And you take people that are specialized for that. You know, I've been startup, I'm CTO, I know absolutely nothing in marketing. Yeah, we take someone in marketing, or we learn by yourself. Because that's true, you know, the concept of about we get at a certain point in the hierarchy, and after this point, we are incapable. You know, it's meaning that we are bad. But I always think that we can learn. On my life, I've always been about learning. I learn in code by myself. It's me that's become teacher, because I've been teacher of coding, but I never had a mentor or a teacher. But I always believe that you can learn, and you have to learn to other, and you have to trust other too. Because learning is trusting yourself, and you have to trust yourself and trust other. Which is
I
not
love that as a concept. So learning is trusting yourself. But that's a really good point, because I think a lot of people, when they're learning, they don't necessarily always give themselves the grace to be bad at something when they're starting off. Whereas the reality is, if you're learning something new, by definition, you're not good at it yet. You're still figuring it out.
Yeah, not I do plenty of things that I'm very bad at. You know, as I said, I don't have more hobbies, so now my hobbies are sport. I like sport because it gets me out. I am 44. I'm learning skateboard since January. I begin to learn, half pipe in skateboard. I'm very bad at it. I do parkour too. I run parkour for the last 3 years. I'm doing some handstand, etc., 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 etc. So yes, the concept that said that everything that you want is outside of your comfort zone. And leadership is that too, is leading yourself first. And if you're not capable to lead yourself, or you want to lead others, and it's a concept that is simple. Do to other what you want that we do. You know, first thing that I get my first job, and excuse me if I'm bad in saying that, and I see my boss, and I was, okay, I have 3 master, 11 diploma of university, and I can't do it. So yes, let's do it. And after, it's not that easy, I say to you, as I show to you. But you learn, and you try to be better, and you try to learn of your mistake. That is important. And that is something that I learned all my life, I think. And people that say, oh, I'm too old to learn. Nah, we never are too old to learn.
No, indeed. My grandfather had a great expression for me when I was a young boy. He said to me, look, the day you stop learning is the day you stop.
Yeah, it's true.
But he's basically equated, lack of learning with death effectively. And that really stuck with me. And so I've always been like you, trying to pick up new things and learn new things as we go along all the time. I think it's really powerful. And talking of which, your playbook starts with building systems before teams. And yet a lot of what you've been speaking about before is, building people, trusting people. So is that something that you learned? Is that something you learned the hard way as well?
Yes, because people take just 3 people together in a room. Try to organize yourself. Don't work. I return to that. You need to have a plan. People is something that is very human. It's difficult to have an idea. That's the thing. Being creative is very, very difficult. But if you come with a plan to people and you say to them, criticize, they like it. Everybody will have something to say about what you have done. If it's why too, the trust. If people are confident and people feel encouraged to do it, because if not, you will arrive with a plan and no one will say anything, which is one of the problems that you may have in certain cultures. Asia, for example, you're the boss. India is a good example. You're the boss. You get a plan. They follow the plan. So you need to make these people in confidence. But the problem is when you begin, they don't know you. You don't know them. And so having a structure that is flexible, There's something in tech that we say about, having very hard idea, but very lightly anchored. So it's that. You need to be flexible and evolve. But yeah, the plan is better than the plan. I think let's go back to history. Every war, Caesar, what you want, any Alexander have a plan for any battle. The plan never go as you want. You have 5 minutes, you plan stay 5 minutes, and after you go all the way. And a good general and a good leader is someone that is capable to adapt the plan and to say at the end, yeah, he gets as I was wanting. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
I
do love that, because Eisenhower had the greatest quote that I love about planning. He said, plans are useless, but planning is everything.
Yes, yeah, it's that. And I will
Very much the same thing.
add that, and the good general is someone that gets everyone back to home. So it's that. You don't lose people in the battle. It's Sun Tzu. I don't know exactly the quote, but the best war is when there's no war. When you don't battle. So it's that. So is the sense, and I will return to that. I think the best code is no code, because if you don't code, you don't have bug.
Yeah, there's nothing there to be wrong. It can't be wrong.
So is that. So the question is, all we do without code, and we have this rule, and we have a rule around this system, gravity, geometry, and whatever you want, that's anchor us. And when you have this system, you can go in all the gravity, because in all the creativity, because it's something that I learned in art, because in archaeology you begin by history of art. Is if you want to be creative, put yourself some rule, and is that too. So if you give a system to someone, it's like ticket. If you ask a ticket and you ask someone to explain to you what he will do, that's something generally people don't do, and it's something that I like to do. Before to pass 2 or 3 weeks on something that I done is not what I want, I prefer, read the ticket, say to me what you want to do, write it, but don't write it, and I read it. And a lot of time, I have good surprise, because I was not seeing it like that. It's a new perspective.
Yeah. It forces the clarity, doesn't it?
Yeah, and is that. And having a system that you present to people and give it to people and saying, okay, I think we need to do that. What do you think? It's the IKEA effect. You make the furniture, you own it, you have more value in it. So you trust more the system. That's a great
model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because one of the things I've learned over time is that unclear goals, you can fix those. As you say, you ask the questions, write it down, make it clear. So if somebody's not clear about what the goals are, you can overcome that. But one of the things that really frustrated me in one organization I worked in was that the goals, the leadership was changing the goals every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. And that was even more frustrating than not having clarity around the goals. Is that something that you've experienced the same in your time? And if so, yes. What happened and how did you deal with it?
Yeah. Okay. First, you speak about product. You speak about feature. We have different layers in what we are doing. Let's say it. Most of the C-suite know absolutely nothing in tech. You may have a CTO, sometimes you don't have. So what they want feature. And they want something that's work. And your job is to make them work. But in leadership, in tech, you always have 2 agendas, I want to say. A pure tech agenda, which is, tech change every 3 years. That's what our system that at 6 years was done with the first version of Go is not now that we are at 1.25 Go, and we decided to add a framework in the middle because, it's better. So there that we need to manage. And after there's the feature. And after you have the art to say no. And you never say no. First, that's the first part of the art of saying no. And he's saying, You want that I do that because people, it's always, it's always urgent. It's for yesterday, or the day before, if it can. And it is, okay, last week you asked me that. Now you ask me that. Now we need to make decision. And I will say, there is something that I say a lot is, when you are not capable to take a decision, make others take decision. What I mean by that is okay, you have multiple things to do on the one that you do 10 things and you can only do 2. Ask, okay, I can only do 2. Which is the 2 I make? It's not easy. That's clear. It's an art in itself. There's
definitely an art to say no.
It's where you really need to learn to become a cell, which is difficult when you're tech. But is that explain to people what they can have, what they cannot have, and what's the time, and manage the roadmap. I don't is that it work. It always work.
Okay, so part of it is the art of gracefully saying no. And part of it is managing or having a good understanding of what capacity looks like then. Because in order to be able to say no to something, you need to have a good reason. And capacity or complexity are often the most common reasons I've encountered, certainly.
I will add something to have a great memory. And I return to that, right. Because if something is written, you can refer to it. And, I remember freelance, first contract in freelance, and my client mid-contract asked me to add something. Okay, we will do it, we'll do it. End of the contract, he pays us, and you say, oh, you forget to pay us for this thing that you ask us to add. No, I was thinking it was in the price. No, so you do it once, you do it twice. Third time we say, okay, it's written, you have a contract, we will add that. Same thing. Is that.
The art of the change request.
Yes, is that. And more in startup. You work in startup or any company, stuff change every day, every week, if you are. And the art to wait. It's politics. After a moment, who do what, or which of the boat go one way or another. So, you know that, wait 2 or 3 days, they will change their mind. Time we will have something, and there's always more to do than you have as developer. That is a low intake.
Yeah. So sometimes silence is a strategic approach then.
Yes. It's a way to say no too.
I love that. Cool. What I want to do is start to have in your playbook. And one of the things that we sort of touched on it earlier on, but I want to bring us back to that one, which is this idea of systems before teams. Have you got an example of where you had a team, maybe it was struggling with something, but then when you updated the system, I mean, the clarity you've spoken about already, but actually sort of changing the way that they work and how that changed them and how the people in that responded to that change?
Okay, I will give you one example, and it's why I become system before team. Because, my last startup, I was a founding CTO, and I begin to have one dev, and I begin to have a second dev, and I begin to have a third dev, and at the end I had 5 dev, and I had dev that passed 2 weeks on something that I was looking at, and I was saying, no, but it's not what I want. And I had a dev like that. The guy was good, but every time that I was asking him something, he was going in the way that I was not wanting, and he was passing 2 weeks on it, and I was releasing it, and he was passing 2 more weeks on it. Wow. And you are, okay, what of Google do? Okay, we are not Google. I'm not trying to say you need to do Google. Google say, okay, make tiny PR. Okay, so you'd say to your guys, yes, make tiny PR. Yeah, no one make tiny PR. That is my current job because you understand it's complicated, etc., etc. I was like, okay, we will make a system that if you PR make more than a certain number, you cannot merge. See, and now you begin to have tiny PR, and you can read this tiny PR, and the code get better, and see, and you just put, a law that perhaps is a bit of a pain, but what is not a pain, But it changed the game, and you see the difference. So is what I say. Take a system, and it's what I have in my team. I came in a team that at the moment they were not doing Scrum because they were doing Scrum, infinite Scrum. So there was no direction. Because, take the ticket, we do the ticket, etc., etc. So, we are engineer. Excuse me, but technically we are not paid to code. We are paid to solve problem. It's why I say coding is perhaps the enemy. Let's put in place Scrum first. And now we have a way to speak and to communicate. Because problematic is this process allow us to have communication, because tech team are in general very bad to communicate between them. I return to that. We are all 8 hours in front of a computer. We are very good with our computer, but from each other is difficult. So is that.
Yeah, and I like that example of a rule, because as a rule, it sort of fits my my general approach to rulemaking, which is rather than making tram lines where you've absolutely fixed the direction, there's no way to deviate from it, instead putting in guidelines, something that's more of a boundary of behavior rather than something that really fixes it in a certain direction.
Yeah, you have two types of rule, I will say. You have the one that you need to enforce. You put it hard. There's no way. And after there's the one that what is good code? Stuff like that. What is a good PR? What is using AI in your code to take trending stuff? And that is more something that you need to decide as a team and consider. So you give a shell, you explain, okay, my code will be like that, like that, like that. But from there, people can do whatever they want. And it's where coding become interesting, because you give them a practical base that you consider is good, perhaps is bad, but you can make it evolve. And it arrived to me, to take system and saying, that don't work, we will redo completely it. I do it with Next.js, for example. I redo it twice, my system. Because I was thinking, that was not work. And after it's pushing to people, what is a good developer? Let's say it. Something on a good in everything. What is luxury? To make it more broader on what is luxury in code is just to make a bit of culture. Lux come luxus, which is light. So luxury, it's everything that have more light. So it's more. It's what
the clarity.
The clarity on is what is more. So a good developer is someone that will perhaps do a bit more than you ask him.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Okay, I ask you to create this function, but this function can be an util. And we decide that the util will be there. But you decide to make in the util or not, and you enter in that. And is that too, when you trust people, I like to do that with my team is, okay, when you're CTO or lead developer, you don't have time to architecture everything. And, junior developer, they like to learn to architecture. So you say, okay, I want you to do that. You have the guideline, what I consider good. Show me what you are capable and how you construct the Lego. We don't do the Lego, is the system is, I give you the Lego. From the Lego, you can do whatever you want. And you see, if you follow a bit Lego, you can absolutely do from Iron Man to flower in passing in any toy. And is why I say to you, make the system, and after take the people around to get the system. And if the system is clear, understandable, and don't say to me, but Lego is very simple, you see it, you make it. Okay, take
But that's kind of the point, isn't it? Is to keep things simple, because if you let it get too complex, then it's difficult for anybody else to look at it and go, okay, I can see how that's put together.
Yeah, but you always have, you need a time of entering in the system. Because, if you give Lego to anyone and ask you to make a flower, but you have all the pieces, so you have a leaflet with Lego that allow you to make the things. So first you make the things with the Lego, but after you can destroy it and do whatever you want with it. It's exactly the same thing. What I am giving to you is the leaflet of the Lego, the explanation of how to do these things, but you can make whatever you want with it. And it's why I return to that system before people. And when you have the system and people know where they be, where they are, and what their aim, a lot of stress that get out, because entering in company, I understand nothing to the code, I understand nothing at what people say, and they speak in a vocabulary that I have no idea what it is, and my God. Yeah, okay. And as I was liking to say it, I am with my knife and my beep. I don't want to swear. On my beep. And let it go in the jungle. Yeah, I leave it. That's in more than one thing. In archaeology, in university, in a lot of time. No. You need, if you want that people be productive day one, you need to give them the way, the path. That they're professional or not. I'm 17 years of experience, 18 almost. I began 1 year ago in the company that I work at the moment. I was knowing nothing about Go. I take a book Go, begin to read of Go, look at the code, and begin to ask to developers that are 22. I'm 44. And the guy had 2 years of experience in Go. I have 17 years of, I'm beginning to ask, you see this code, how we make it work with that? Yeah, it's part of the game. And is written to that. Trust yourself, trust the system. And if the system is well built, and that's the problem, is to find a system that is well built and make it well built. And that is ask time, experience, trying again, and humility too. You cannot work. It's like life. We all have plenty of questions. I'm 44. I have some answer at some question. Yeah, it's like leadership.
On that point, I think you get good people, you trust them. Because one of the things I have seen is where people sort of trust, but then don't actually delegate properly. They end up sort of doing pretend delegation, which I noticed was one of the things you mentioned as well. So, I mean, what do you mean by that? And what's the worry that you have around that?
I see the problem is, I see that more in startup. A lot of, and I had some co-founder like that, is their idea. They need to keep it. Nothing big has been constructed alone. Just saying, the pyramid in Egypt never been by itself. There was millions of people. So it's that you need. You have 24 hours in a day. You need to choose what will be the thing you will be the best on, that give you the best return for you and for your company. And delegating is part of that. Is taking tasks that you think are, I will not say beneath you, because there are no tasks that are beneath someone, but tasks that are perhaps less important in it that are more important. So you prioritize. I can just say, in general, I work 10 hours a day, maximum. After 10 hours of coding, I serve nothing to code or managing, it don't work anymore. So what I do in this 10 hours, and in this 10 hours, I can do that. Okay, so everything else that I cannot do, I delegate. And I trust people with it because, moreover, when you are your own company or when you are leadership, you have one big advantage, is you choose the people you work with in general.
Yeah.
And that is very cool because there are not a lot of people that can do it. So if you choose people that you can delegate, it give you leverage to do something else. And it's why I feel that it's important to delegate and to learn to delegate because you cannot be everywhere. That don't exist.
But then also there's the flip side of delegation where you delegate at such a micro level that it isn't really delegation, it's just direction.
Depend, but depend who you are and who you take. There are risk in trust, but you have to give trust before, to be untrusted.
And I think trust is the key point, isn't it? The reason I'm asking this is because I had a situation where I had something delegated to me in a sort of inverted commas a number of years ago by the CEO of a company. And he wasn't really actually delegating it to me. He was just telling me what I should be doing step by step. He told, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I understood what the outcome he wanted was, and I disagreed with the process. And so I sort of realized this isn't true delegation. This is just being, micromanaged, task directed.
Yes, micromanagement, which is very, very different. But micromanagement is the same. Is you cannot. If you're CEO of a company that more than 10 people, but more than 5, you cannot micromanage 5 people. So it's the max. 5 people is the max. You cannot lead or manage more than 5 people. It's not me that say it. At the moment. But these 5 people can manage 5 people. And these 5 people can manage 5 people and 5 people and 5 people. So at the end, you have a pyramid. And if you don't see it like that, it will not work. Because if you begin to micromanage 5 people, your day pass and you never have make you work. And it depends what you want. If you want to stay at 5 people or 2 or 3, it will work. When you will have 300, we will have a bit of a problem.
Yeah, there's no trust there in that situation.
Or just 10 people. There's something that's passing. It's the number of channel of communication with the number of people. And just with 10 people, it's humongous big. So you cannot control everything. So I return to that. So it's why system without micromanaging, because people don't like to be micromanaged. And that's the problem, is what is micromanagement, what is not. I will give you a formula for me, what works well when you don't trust people, that you want them to do. You ask them to do something, and you calculate to add the time that you are capable to do it. Meaning that I ask you to code something and to do anything. And I give you 3 days. And I know that I say to my boss that he will have in 6 days. And I know that I can do it in 1. So is that. I give you 3 days. After 3 days, you didn't do it. Okay, I have 3 days to do it. I know that I can do it in 1 day. It will be delivered. But I trusted you. That don't work. Another thing that I was liking to do for trusting people, because I think that trusting is a lot about communication. It's about, and that is something that people need to learn. You're not obliged to be in position of leadership to manage people. I manage my boss, he manage myself too. And communication is important. And what I was liking to do is, so I make tutorial, to install the stuff of, the local environment, etc., etc. And I was forgetting things in it. Why? Because you have one person that is a genius that knows how to make it. You're happy, you find the 10x but the 99% arrived on their block. There are 2 kinds of people. There's the people that stay blocked, ask nothing. Yeah. And there's the people that came to you and begin to ask. And it's these people that you want to trust. Because the number, I had a lot of that with intern, because I had a lot of intern in Singapore, where, I was speaking with an intern and giving something, and after 1 week, I begin to say to him, what you are doing? Or he say, I hope you were at the beach, because in 1 week, and say, no, it's 1 week that I am incapable to access, it was Elasticsearch, enter in Elasticsearch. And I can show it to you to do that in 10 minutes. Say, why you don't come to me? Say, no, but you're the CTO. You have other stuff to do. I don't want to lose your time. Okay, calm down. Losing 10 minutes for you, you losing 1 week, I pay you 1 week. Okay? So, getting back my money if I explain to you in 10 minutes. So it's that too. It's after I'm someone that's I'm a pessimist, but I believe in the man in general, in the human nature. So I think we can do better. So it's that. So on more than tech, we are here to learn. So you need to trust people to learn, and we have to learn. Tech change every trigger. When I begin, JavaScript was a teeny library to make ads make work. Now there was Node.js a few years back, and now we speak about AI. So is that we are in something that's need to learn all the time. So I don't think you cannot trust people in tech. It's not possible. You don't have the time, and there's too much to do, and there's too much tech. And there's too much advancing all day to not delegate and say, okay, we will be the T-shape. We all want to be the T-shape. I will know that perfectly. The rest, I know okay. But I will push people to know it.
To have something. Yeah. Well, on that note, I think it's a perfect time to try and summarize your playbook, Gerald, into something that everybody else can take away with them and go from here. So the things that I distilled out of the conversation there is build systems with your teams, make sure there's a good plan. Going with that, write things down. I think that, good documentation is absolutely essential. Hire and trust. I mean, we mentioned trust a lot of times during the conversation. I think that's a really critical point. Have standards, but have standards with context. So the standards have a scenario in which they sit, and that you explain them to people as well. I think that's another key point you mentioned. You mentioned about being direct with people rather than, explain people, make sure they understand things, which goes along with this idea of caring. And then also you mentioned learning publicly. So don't just learn on your own, but learn in a way that everybody else can see that you're learning as well. I think that's a great example to give to other people. Did I miss anything out of there?
I will add just a detail. I work in all the world. And I say why to be direct is I work at the moment with a team that is from Russia, Germany, Indonesia, Birmanie, Thailand. So if you begin to cater, I'm French, if you try to cater to every culture, it don't work. So you need to make it a neutral space.
So it's leveling things across the cultural divides and differences then?
For a name, to produce something on these nuts. And you go with trust, because if you are capable to level that, you create trust too.
Absolutely magical. Gerald, thank you very much. If anyone wants to continue the conversation, Gerald, how can they reach you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn, simply on my name, so Gerald Chablowski. So my name is like you sneeze it, Chablowski, for the joke. But it's a Polish name, a bit complicated, but on LinkedIn.
We'll put a link in the comments, but I don't think anybody forget it after that wonderful demonstration. Gerald, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the whole episode. I appreciate your time. So just before you go, I'd like to ask you for a favor in return for putting together this episode of the CTO Playbook for you. Please share the episode with just one person who will appreciate it. Wherever you're listening, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or another platform, sharing the episode will help more CTOs find the podcast and enable me to create more great content. Remember that you can find more information on the CTOplaybook.com. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the CTO Playbook.